Is everybody here? Yes, let's get going. Okay, so how about we call to order the regular meeting of the Ketchikan Ports and Harbors Advisory Board for April 9th, 2024. May, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Flora?
Here.
Mr. Haney?
Here.
Mr. Besso? Mr. Castle?
Here.
Mr. Cochran?
Here.
Mr. Youngblood?
Here.
Mr. Lundy?
Here.
Mr. Rhodes?
Here.
Mr. Wiltsey?
Here.
Would you please join me for?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a new board member, Mr. Michael Youngblood. How are you? Welcome, sir. Thank you for being willing to give up some of your time now tonight. Serve on this board. Is there anything you'd like to say as a new member?
Not really. I just have one question that if we're an advisory board, so
Mhm.
if we choose to advise the council, how do you do that? Is there a prescribed procedure or you just send them an email or?
So if there is a suggestion that the board wants to make to the city council, I'm the city council representative on the board. A member would make a motion, we would discuss it, we would vote on it. If it's the will of this board that I take that message back to the city council, then that's what I'll do. Even if I vote against that, that doesn't matter. If the will of the board is we would like to see this happen on this topic, then that's what I bring back. Okay?
And vice versa, sometimes the city council asks our opinion on things.
Yeah. And honestly, if you can, it's not a bad idea to either attend or tune in and watch some city council meetings, particularly if there's issues on there that relate to the ports and harbors. Sometimes it might prompt questions or concerns or topics that you want to see. Years and years ago, I got taken to the woodshed one night by a couple of members because I hadn't brought something forward to the city council that they wanted to see, but they had never brought it up. So the reason that there's a thing on here that says future agenda items is because I asked that our agendas mirror the city's, because I couldn't anticipate what everybody else might want to see. So, and any board member can ask for a future agenda item at the end of a meeting. So feel free, if there's a topic that you think is of interest to you, please bring it forward. We'll do that. Okay. And if you have any questions along the way, please ask and we'll help you out the best we can. Okay. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? I missed one meeting. I see you guys just don't do a thing, but that's okay. Maybe you don't have to put that.
Don't do that.
Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, well, that carries unanimously. We have no communications. I think we have no persons to be heard. We have no unfinished business. New business, date change for the Port and Harbors May 24th meeting.
Yeah, the council chambers aren't available on the 14th. So we were thinking just moving it to May 7th. If that works for you guys, the first Tuesday
The first Tuesday?
of the month instead. You guys want to show of hands or vote on that?
So it'd be May 7th
Yeah,
for that?
if that's okay with everybody.
Better,
honestly. Does that work for everybody or is there any objections?
It's fine by me.
Okay. I think we're golden.
And
What?
as normal, May will send out the paperwork a week before, double check with everybody, same procedure.
Same procedure, just a week earlier
Yeah.
than
Yep.
normal.
Yep.
Okay. Well, my goodness, we're already to the director's report. Speak slowly, please.
I'll go first here. For the harbor side, this year I'll go through it real quick, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We've been able to find our 3 temp harbor masters for the summer. We actually have 2 returning and 1 new. So, that'll make life a lot easier. We only will have to train 1 guy. And, we'll be switching to our night shift on, May 16th. That's when the 3rd guy shows up. He's a college student, but it's his 3rd season with us. So we don't have to train him. He's a real good kid and he'll go right into the night shift. And, the new guy starts next week, I believe, the 15th. The other 3rd guy, he started the 1st of the month and, they're already working on projects, boat projects and stuff like that. We'll get them pressure washing and painting here for too long. We're still looking for our, 1 other temp maintenance worker. We're still looking for that right person. If it's not the right person, we're not gonna hire. Sometimes not having the right person is more work than having the right person. So, but we're hopeful that we'll find somebody. The harbor office will start being open on the weekends, starting May 1st. Robin Kenny, who's been with us the last, 2 seasons, she's coming back for another season with us, and she'll be working the weekends, and she's great. So another one we don't have to train, she'll pop right in there. Preparations have begun for the busy season. Like I said, you'll start seeing the crew out cleaning up debris and pressure washing and painting. We have been notified of a possible grant through Sea Grant Alaska, which is through the Department of Natural Resources for funding for marine debris cleanup. What I would like to do is see if we can't get a grant to have divers come in and clean the bottom of the harbors. All the garbage and cans and all the other stuff people throw in the water. We can get up to $200,000 is the max that we can get on the grant. This isn't a matching grant. We don't need to come up with any money to match or anything. So I actually have a webinar tomorrow to get more details on that and whatnot, and then I'll start working on getting that put together. And hopefully we can get that grant to clean up the harbors a little bit. My goal would be to start at Thomas Basin, get that cleaned up, then move to Bar Harbor South, and then work our way to Bar Harbor North and do as much as the money will take us, is my goal.
I have a question on that one. So how do we know that this is a problem? We had divers down there, or is it just an assumption that over the years
If you go walking down tomorrow morning, we have a negative tide tomorrow morning.
you can, it's,
Oh, yeah.
You can see.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Tires,
Shopping cart.
Shopping carts.
Yeah. You ever read the book, Handwater Jackson?
No.
Anybody?
Yeah.
The part where they decide to move off the boat and move onto land. We cleaned the boat by whatever we didn't want. We just tossed over to the side and city float. That was in the book. So,
A lot of shit down there.
I mean, a lot's changed since then, but there's still plenty that could be cleaned up down there. And I think it would look good that, 1, we wouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And 2, just showing, hey, we're trying to make our facilities a little nicer here. So fingers crossed, I'll do my best to get that. The new Float 8 electrical pedestals are scheduled to be completed by the end of the month. He's actually try to send some of those tomorrow, just so we can make sure we fulfill our grant that is paying for those. That's part of the pink salmon relief money from Steve Corporat when he was here. That's how long this process has taken. And hopefully we can get those and get them paid for. And then we're hoping to probably get those installed sometime this winter. So we'll do the process of metering everybody's boats or checking the power, because these are going to be the new pedestals with the new GFI breakers to eliminate the power going out into the water.
Do those guys all know? Because I was on Float 8 a couple days ago. One guy was grumbling because he wasn't.
It's been in the works for years, and we've told a lot of people, but once we got the pedestals here, we'll send out letters, check your boats, or we can come check your boat for you. And we'll give everybody plenty of lead time to get their boats right.
You've already checked most of us, I
Yeah,
think,
Yeah,
right?
most of you.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we did before is we went through with a spreadsheet, we went down the float, checked everybody's boats. We sent letters to everybody, but anybody that had major problems that we knew were gonna trip the breakers, we'd contact them for sure and say, hey, you're throwing out this much power. And, most people were pretty cool about it because once they found out how much power their boat was throwing out in the water and they realized, no wonder I'm going through sinks every year and my shafts are getting pitted and my props are getting pitted and everything. So, it's a real good thing. You know, when we did Thomas Basin years ago, that was just before COVID or not too long before COVID. And there was a harbor user down there that said he pulled his boat every year and the zincs would be completely gone on his boat. And after the new breakers were put in, COVID hit and everything, and he went 2 years before he could pull his boat. And after 2 years, he pulled his boat, still had all his zincs. So it made that much of a difference. And he said that was come to Jesus, that this actually works and makes a big difference in the harbor. He was one that was kind of vocal about it and grumpy about it, but after that, this was the best thing you guys did down here. This made a huge difference. So hopefully we can eventually slowly work through all the harbors and get that lost current taken care of because it's eating up our pilings as well. So, yeah.
So does that mean I need to put my isolating transformer I bought 2 years ago on the boat?
Yep.
But you gotta hook it up too.
Yeah.
You never picked one of those up?
Yeah, I had to build a framework just to.
Oh, you're on nine already. Or
Yeah.
You're on over across, okay.
Yeah, we got upgraded, but yeah, I had to build I had to build a tower where it was going and so I could hoist it where it had to go there.
It's the heaviest little box you ever did see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh?
Good ballast.
Well, I know, but I'm gonna have to put it on the light side of the boat.
Even yeah. So yeah, we're hoping to get that all taken care of.
Okay.
Also, I put on here that it was completed, but I wrote this up the first day I was back, so I was still in vacation mode a little bit. And I got my dates wrong, but actually tomorrow, Sign Pro is coming and we worked with KIC and Southeast Alaska Watershed Coalition for new pump out station signs. They're gonna be big signs, encourage people to pump out their boats. We also made sure that they're gonna have directions on the proper use of how to use the pump outs. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know how to use them and they curate problems of they don't pump water through it when they're done, so then they get clogged and it's a big mess. So they're gonna be installing those signs at all the pump out stations tomorrow, all brand new, nice signs and everything. And that was all grant money that won't cost us a dime.
Are all the pump stations working?
They are not, that's on my list to start getting that taken care of, yeah. And part of this is now, they said, once they get this project done, there may be some money left over that they may be willing to throw to help pay for a new pump out station.
Well, do vessels call the harbor master when they're coming in to use the pump out station?
Not usually, no. They're on all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you could pull up and pump out.
Unless they don't work.
Unless they're not working, then we definitely get called.
No, I watched a big boat come in, I think it was last year, it had a skiff tied up, that was maneuvering, and he went all the way in there on Bar Harbor North and then found out it didn't work.
Yeah. A lot of times they do call and ask where they're at.
That would be
We'll,
good.
we'll point out where they are at, but the regulars know where they're at, and which ones are working.
So 3, right?
4 is, we have 2 that are, 2 out of the 4 are working. We got the one at the bottom of the ramp below the office. We got one between 7 and 8 in Barber South. That one's working. One in City of Float is not working, and the one in Thomas Basin between Float 3 and 4. So I'm hoping to get 2 new ones to replace the ones that aren't working. So at least 1 for sure, hopefully 2. One thing that is not in my report, because they just called yesterday, the Army Corps of Engineers called and said that the breakwater has been fully funded for 2025. So she's very excited about that. So it wouldn't be completed in 2025, it'd be done in 2026. I'm optimistic because we've been down this road before where they got the funding and then found out they didn't ask for enough funding. So she was very upbeat and excited about it. So that's good news. So hopefully that'll get done in 2026 as scheduled. In talking with her as well, looking far out down the road, once they get the floating breakwater done, they're gonna look at fixing up the rock breakwater. In what the conversation I had with her was, what she is looking at doing is coming in and where the rock is bad and sloughing, removing that rock and putting new rock in and building it back up. And what she was asking is if we would want the old rock. The first thing that popped in my mind is the old Bar Harbor restaurant.
Hmm.
Isn't,
Just on it.
right, if we could work this out to where we get that demolished and get it all ready to where, okay, we need fill. Let's take that rock and whatnot and use it for fill. And maybe that would also curry favor with getting permits and stuff with the Corps for filling that in. So that's many years down the road. I mean, like I said, it wouldn't be till after 2026, but it is something that we could maybe think about and have a long-term goal to start getting that project in the future works. Because if we could get free fill to fill it all in, would be cut our costs a little bit. So just something for us to think down the road, something for us to work on down at the office. That's all I got for the harbors. Any questions on the harbor stuff?
Any questions?
Is there
Yeah.
any status on the old VFW building?
Mark might know more than this on me. From what I understand, it's up in the air still. They have a contract to purchase it, but it's nothing finalized. I can say I had KPU down last week or Monday morning, looking to put more cameras in that area. So we will be putting more cameras in that area. I'm not gonna say where because that kind of defeats the purpose. But, we are planning for it being there and doing what we can.
Sorry. So First City Homeless Services has a purchase agreement. And the city council was told at a meeting a while back that they would definitely be out of where they're at now by the end of this year. They still have a purchase agreement. Whether they have funding or not, I gotta tell you, I either don't get it or their messaging hasn't been quite clear. But they wanted a 2-year extension for where they're at now. That didn't happen. Their lease is over at the end of July. I know that they've been looking for interim locations. I don't know where they're at with that. But I don't know any more than Mr. Wilson as far as how solid of a deal or how solid of a path forward they have on the VFW. I don't really know. But wouldn't hurt to, you can contact Deb Asper at First City Homeless Services and ask them.
I've seen a guy in there from time to time working on stuff, but it looks like he doesn't have power because he's using a lantern for light.
Really? Yeah, I drive by there almost every day, and I mean, I just take a casual glance. I haven't really seen much of anything of any substance going on there. It looks pretty vacated, so. If anything happens with that building, of course, that's going to be pertinent to harbor users, then I'll certainly update this board.
I just have one question.
Mhm.
Is the crane operational on the
Yes.
drive down dock?
Yes,
Okay, so that's been repaired.
yes.
Okay.
It actually just dried out and started working. ordered the
That's
part.
never good.
We ordered it. We have the part for malfunction. We do have that part in-house on the shelf now, so if it does it again, the guy's already got the parts there to throw it in there and get it back working.
Any other questions? Okay, how about the port?
Port side of things, we're still looking for about 8 temp port security. We started yesterday, so they see pressure washers going, painting eventually when it dries out a little bit more. About 10 folks, I just got a list from HR for 3 or 4 more, and 2 of them are gonna be full season types, which is kind of what we want at this point. So people can come on as soon as possible and work all the way until the 4th of October. Gonna keep that hiring open, be kind of selective at this point and try to get people late that are gonna be here the whole season. There's always high school kids and stuff that could fill in a little bit. Maintenance guys started last week doing some of the cleanup, so you should look at some of that. This is just, I wanted to put this in here because I was asked by the city manager at one point, if ships were canceling because they were on anchor out here. And we have a situation this year where the Crystal Serenity, which is a ship that had probably been here back in the early 2000s, late 90s, coming back. They were on anchor 3 times. They decided to call on Ward Cove instead of here. So if ships get bigger and bigger, and we can only park 3, and so we have to put 1 out on anchor, you could see more ships wanting to go out. Classes from Houtling Elementary, Pond Mountain, and Homeschool are planting seeds that they're going to grow as class projects, part of a growing unit. And then they all planted them now. In about 2.5 weeks, we're going to plant them all in the port. So we'll have kids doing the labor for us, put those seeds in the ground, or those little sprouts in the ground. So that'll be kind of fun. It'll be the 3 days right before our first ship on Bird 2, which is the 25th of April. That's that. It was a big success last year. We give them pizza and gloves and little trowels. They just go to town. B&D, they completed the port roadmap. James and I had a conversation with them on Friday. Lots happened since then. And kind of just shored up a few things and asked a few questions, and they clarified. And they're going to finish up the draft by putting some of those clarifications in, so when everybody gets it, you can kind of see what's going on. The big one was cathodic protection. That's our #1 priority. Whole length of the port. So everything kind of needs cathodic protection. They are getting us the bathymetric survey hopefully this week. So we'll get the below water look at things, and that'll include overburden depths on the promenade, which the cruise ship prop wash has been blamed for that. Kind of see what we have there and then what we need to do to move forward. So now we have an idea, like they said, the 47,000 foot view. So we'll start narrowing it down, kind of get things figured out. Hopefully get things on the repair schedule for 2026, done by 2026. People probably not going to happen this next year.
Can I make a couple comments on that one? Because the city council had a meeting with CLIA, Cruise Line Agencies, Internet, a couple weeks back. A couple things. So the cathodic protection was identified as the priority for the port infrastructure. The idea of the meeting was to see what sort of collaboration and participation financially that they want to engage in. They say they're interested. They started the meeting by talking about allowable uses of money, referenced the tonnage clause and proper use of CPV monies. And there was some talk about how Juneau does it. And they have zones. If you're in zone 1, you can spend CPV money without talking to them. If you're in zone 2, you probably can, but talk to them. And if you're in zone 3, probably not. Ketchikan may be looking for a similar deal or a similar structure in the future. No decisions were made. I'm sure there'll be subsequent conversations, but there was no firm commitment that there's going to be financial participation on their part. Mayor Kiefer did let them know the city doesn't have the money. We didn't have the money in 2019. That's why it didn't happen back then. We don't have the money now. Bonding, the city of Ketchikan's ability or desire to bond is probably somewhere near not likely. And especially, I who knows, but especially if you ask the will of the voters, what they want to see. Does the public want to indenture itself further in debt? That would be a question, the voters would ask, but, probably not. They also seemed to be, while open to the idea that it was actually prop wash that sent 7 feet of overburden somewhere, they weren't necessarily convinced. They didn't deny it. And there's, from the analysis that we've obtained from staff, it's the obvious, most likely scenario is as asopods got bigger, that's where that stuff went. And again, there was discussions that, they talked about, they were asked, so what can you do this year for mitigating measures? So we don't have tugs, I guess, that can actually locally that can move some of these bigger ships, is my understanding. They said they would take whatever intermediate actions they could while we figure this out, but they didn't define any specifics as to what those would be. So I'm not sure what they can do. So it might be interesting if you guys have time this year when they're leaving, when they're coming in, it would be nice to, even anecdotally, it might be nice to observe, is there something different going?
I have a plan.
You have a plan
I do.
to observe or to change how they do it?
Observe
Okay.
to get.
It would be nice to know, because like two separate times in that meeting, they referenced, well, we're going to do what we can this year to mitigate this, but there was no details. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Unless you want more details.
Sure, I'd love to know.
I have it on, just a small underwater camera. I'm gonna put on a pole. Go down there and have it down there when they leave. Just have video of it.
I got to see a video years ago, from Michelle Masden had a diver down there. It's impressive.
I heard it's pretty impressive.
It's impressive. There was starfish and cinder blocks and all manner of stuff flying by. When those things light up and go, they move material.
They're trying to push themselves off in the southeast sideways. It's a lot of thrust.
Yeah. Well, it's my understanding on some of the biggest ships, they're like the propellers themselves, they're like 10 feet across. They're large. So that's a great idea. That would be a great idea. Hopefully maybe by,
Visuals.
huh?
People love visuals.
Well, by the promenade, we asked for financial help with that and they said no.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you know that because you told me, but, it'd be nice to see exactly what's going on there.
It'd be interesting if you could meter it, or you could,
Yeah.
for every day.
Looked real quick at, I didn't dig into it too deep about, like current sensors and whatnot. I just started digging into it and I had something else I had to dig into, but I did look at current sensor because remember a few years ago, we had the current sensor in Thomas Basement. And I was trying to find the old paperwork and where that came from and that, and I just started digging, but then I got pulled someplace else to work on stuff. That was one thing that I was looking to see if we could figure out maybe a current type thing down there. Like right here at the promenade.
That would be really useful data, because that just takes all the guess, that's just ink on paper. This is what happens. That's velocity right there.
We
You gotta-
measure it in the winter, during different conditions in the winter,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, comparative, yeah. Were you gonna say something, Tim?
Hold on.
Okay. Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Last thing I had was, last week, we cleaned up a homeless encampment with Public Works and KPD. Huge dumpster, probably from me to the end of the table right there. About that high, filled 2.5 or 1.5 of those, just stuff, bags and garbage and all kinds of things. There's about 17 of us from the different departments down there, and then once we got everything out, streets went through, and you're on the Tongass parking lot looking back towards this building here, you can see all the slats they put up to kind of block that all off and heavily bolt that gate that's there, and they're going to put a better gate in there for access later on. And then the taggers came by that night and painted on it. But
That night.
Where do they get access? Where do they go in at?
the rail was only whatever normal fence kind of
Okay.
rail height, so they just climb right over. Or they could open the door, the little gate, so that's bolted up. Yeah, it's closed off. It's really hard to get in there now.
Really nice and dry in there.
Oh, well, yeah, we started probably about like directly across from us, cleaning towards the Tongass building.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff came from actually under the street adjacent to Tongass, kind of where there's concrete steps are right over here.
Yeah.
I was where most of it came, so we got just guys like burying stuff out. Everybody's pulling stuff out and passing it on. A lot of stuff.
It'll be dry until it collapses from lack of maintenance, but
That's all I got.
All right. Any questions for anything on the port?
Yeah, it's both port and harbor. Cathodic protection. I brought it up before. To me, it's unbelievable that we would put galvanized piling in without cathodic protection. I spoke with the Petersburg harbor master. They would never consider it. When she got in, there were some identified that didn't have it. They put cathodic protection. They're 200-pound zinc. They check them every 5 years. They get about 20 years out of them. But what she told me is with cathodic protection, your pilings would last indefinitely. And then there was recently an article in on KRBD from Wrangell. They budgeted to replace their cathodic protection and then found out that they didn't have any. This was late last year. They just received all their zincs and they're going to put them on and have it all done here very soon because they realize the importance of it. They said depending on the stray current in the harbors, the piling can last from 5 to 50 years. So I just think it's imperative because you can put a piling in at a fairly reasonable cost, but if you have to change a piling, that's where the cost comes in because you have to pull that old one out to reinstall one. So to me, I just think that getting zincs on our pilings is huge. And this, maybe the study would identify hot areas where it would be more of a priority than some places that aren't. And I know that we have a tremendous amount of galvanized piling in this town, in our port and harbor. Yeah. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay.
So that was Ringgold doing it this year?
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny because I know Steve, the harbor master, and he's like, well, you know, these pilings have been for a while. We should probably look at replacing the zincs. And then it's like, holy smokes, there aren't any. So they ordered them up and are proceeding with it just to protect their investment.
$1 million for the zincs, the article said.
Yeah.
What, I'm sorry, what was that?
$1 million was the cost of the zincs in Wrangell. That's what the article said.
Do you remember how many pilings $1 million gets you? And as far as, you know,
No, I was up there. I go up there every year. I'm leaving Friday to go up. And last year when I went up in April, it was all in the news that they had just discovered it. And
That's a big harbor.
yeah,
Well, they were doing all their harbors. I think there was one in the article dropped off the KRBD website yesterday, so I didn't get to review it. I know. Some of their news you can keep going back and back and back, but the Southeast news it just kind of stopped. It's not there anymore. But yeah.
Thanks for saying
the question, I'm not sure who it's directed to. I kind of lost track of the newspaper articles about the mortgage rates increases. Where did that end up with the council?
it passed. So the Reader's Digest version is the first plan. So what, the harbor rates needed to go up to 67% to get us to where we needed to be, right? Initially, which was not tenable.
The nightmares have just stopped on that, so I kind of forgot about all this.
So, and if I get the facts and figures wrong, correct me, but so after the study, it was deemed that in order to get where we needed to be to remain operational and build up enough money to operate or to participate in the 50/50 grants and take care of capital needs, we would have to raise rates by 67%. Well, that's not tenable, so that was never proposed. Staff went and did a proposal for a rate increase, and it was 15% a year for four years. And that was not well received by the public, and staff went back and reworked it, basically lowered the number to a less painful increase, but it's still going to be painful. And really all it does is push out the time frame by which the harbor becomes whole. But there was a ton of public comment, both at this body and at the city council, which is great. I'm going to venture a guess. I mean, you've been here longer than me, but that's probably one of the most well-attended harbor advisory board meetings ever. So this board and the city council did listen to the public's concerns. They are legitimate. But in the end, this harbor needs X amount of dollars to remain solvent. And we're going to be digging into reserves this year to the tune of a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
Because of this delay, which is not a path forward. You know, you just can't dig into the piggy bank indefinitely, right? So there was an increase, but it was much lower than initially proposed, but not zero.
Was it 15%?
Yes, 15% this year, and then next year it's a different increase. The bigger your vessel, the more of an increase. But I think the biggest increase next year, if I remember correctly, is 12%. But that's for if your boat's 60 feet or bigger on that. So that's what the public, a large portion of the public said, why does a 32-foot boat pay the same price as a 100-foot boat? They're taking up more room, using more infrastructure. So we went to it. Next year, it'll go to a tiered system for that went into, the new rate went into effect this month. And there's been very little pushback, people saying anything. There's been people coming in that want their free launch ramp permit with their reserve moorage, and the ladies say, nope, you don't get it anymore. And they go, oh, yeah, that's right. Well, I'd like to buy one. And that's the extent of it. So, so far, knock on wood, not a lot of pushback, and believe it or not, the harbor's still completely full. We didn't have the mass exodus like they said they were gonna do, and we're once again, anything over a 32-foot boat, you're on the wait list. You're not gonna get a stall. It's all full. We're full, and we've had a huge increase of waitlist applications. Partially, that's probably the people that are gonna be taking advantage of you're on the wait list, you can pay reserve orange prices. But I went through all those new waitlist applications, and the majority of them are smaller boats. They're not big boats. They're people that I think normally would trailer their boats. And I think they're just thinking, well, I'll just get on the wait list and pay the 6 months and maybe still trailer the boat, but I don't have to worry about buying permits and everything. If I decide to leave it in the water, I can leave it in the water. I don't know, that's just what I'm thinking. We'll just have to see how the summer goes and how many boats there are in the water and how full we are in the open moorage areas and stuff. Those people that are just on the wait list, but don't have reserve moorage. So it's gonna be a wait and see on that.
Any other questions? All right, any future agenda items?
I won't go out of back. Can I backtrack a moment?
Absolutely.
Our potholes, we're gonna be able to find anybody to just fill the potholes?
On the floats?
Yeah.
No, that's a high priority this year. Yeah, the guys will be out working on those this year.
I mean, even if they just put the white stuff in there and just temporary, whatever, I
Yeah.
mean, to me, it looks dangerous.
Yeah,
It is dangerous.
yeah, that is a big priority this year. And I can say, we got so far behind on the port last year, that they were playing catch up all year. But this year, just with us being able to get the third full-time maintenance guy who started in March, we're way ahead of schedule on the port this year, which means port will get taken care of and they'll be able to get in the harbor and start working on those. So that third full-time maintenance person is already, in just 1 month, has made a huge difference.
Great.
As far as maintenance getting done and being ahead of schedule. So we'll definitely be in the harbor doing concrete this year.
Thank you.
That'll be a priority for sure.
Anybody have any future agenda items they want to see brought forward?
I have one.
Okay.
The crane thing down at the Thomas Basin, there's a sign that says 24-hour loading zone. And I've noticed that a lot of people, especially in the summertime, have now interpreted that as a 24-hour parking.
Okay.
And so there's constantly like people park there and it
Under the
makes it,
crane?
what's that?
Under the lift there?
Under the lift there, yeah, and I've even seen the ticket lady go by and not ticket anyone because it's a loading
Oh,
zone.
the actual car parking.
The actual car parking, but it
Okay.
takes up to make the lift
Yeah.
unusable. Plus people use that as a turnaround, and I know this is like kind of parking is kind of public works kind of
Yeah,
thing, but
yeah.
maybe we could like,
Help them?
yeah.
No.
Just like a different signage that says like active crane use parking only or something like.
Yeah, we can do that, and I'll definitely talk to Ann as well, tell her to make sure she's enforcing that.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know if that's enforceable because the loading zone's kind of like
Yeah, but
it's
yeah,
kind of like a 15-minute loading zone. You know, you can pull in for
Yeah.
15 minutes, but this one says 24 hours. So
Yeah.
people,
well, all we gotta do is just
Sounds kind of misleading, the sign.
yeah,
change the sign from 24 hours to active loading.
Sure, yeah.
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 Yeah, so that we can take care of that.
Okay, so maybe that doesn't need to be an agenda item or.
How about I have an update?
Okay.
Perfect. Any others?
I don't have a future agenda item, but since you brought up signage, James, how many carts get put under the ramps and get destroyed?
Usually one a year,
Okay,
yeah.
not worth putting the sign up, because I know we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can,
The people that don't understand tides think it's a good place and then they take them.
Yeah.
and-
yeah.
Oh,
it's-
right, crushes it.
Yeah.
It's like anything. I can show you pictures of the clean up your dog poop sign, the pile of dog poop right beside it. People are gonna do it, they're gonna do it.
Well, maybe we should just leave enough old shopping carts there so that they can't leave the carts there.
I can
I
say
just,
that we did take delivery of 5 more carts that we got, ordered at the end of the year. And we do have a stockpile. I think we have 7 or 8 carts in storage. So if one gets crushed, we can get it right back out there. The guys actively do maintenance on the ones that we have. And we try to keep them as nice as we can and operating as long as we can. But we do have some stashed away, so if one goes missing or gets crushed, there's no waiting 3-4 months to get a new one built. We got them kind of on shelf, ready to deliver when we need one.
What's the status on the expansion of the maintenance facility?
In the works, it's that this year is just gonna be planning stage, get a design and a cost estimate is what it'll be. And then we'll probably get a price tag and go, let's say happening. But without getting a design and a cost, you can't really move forward.
This is for Mark. Can you share with us what the city is thinking going forward about our permanent harbor master?
I have not heard
Um,
anything.
They're
Myself.
putting out the director's job, advertising it in-house and out-of-house starting Monday.
So if we want input, we go to the city council?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, as a citizen, I mean,
Yep.
as a citizen.
Yeah.
By all means, I would never discourage anybody from talking to your city council members. We don't hire that person. We hire the city manager. The city manager hires everybody else. She works for us.
Okay,
Everybody else works for her. If you have input,
go to her.
I would.
Okay.
Because it's really not our place as individual council people or as a collective to say, you're essentially the chief executive officer of the city, now go do this,
Mhm.
right? It's like, go do what you're supposed to do, and then we'll grade you on the results. So if you have specific comments or people that you think might be a good fit, I would contact the manager's office.
Okay,
Or you can give those to me, I'll send them along. But I would think as a city, I can only speak for myself. I'm gonna be Switzerland. I won't not forward the comments, but I'm not gonna speak to them, on anybody's behalf or not.
well, I would certainly wouldn't speak for this board, I'd speak for me.
No, of course, of course. So,
Were you gonna apply?
No, thank you. Not even. That would be funny.
You do volunteer? You guys
Well, I
do-
could fill potholes. I know how to mix cement. Ready Mix has that really cool cement mixer too, you know, the new one, the slug,
Oh,
they rent those now.
yeah.
Yeah, we get one of those, we could do a lot of damage in it.
The guys can, when they get going, they can do a panel in a day. Panel a day.
Yeah.
The full.
Well, you're talking about the panel like on float 8?
Mhm.
I was just talking about fixing the pothole.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're talking about that full test they did?
Yeah. No, not like that. They go in, they do most, what they've been working on is Barber North. If you take a walk in Barber North,
I haven't been over there in a while.
yeah, you'll see where they cut out the edge of it. And they get it, bang it all out, vacuum it all out, and then they pour a new slab right over it. Yeah, so it's same level and everything.
Yeah, cause the one they did in 8 had a,
Yeah. that
That-
hump
the
on
big
it.
hump
Yeah,
in
no,
it.
they don't have that.
it's got me more than once.
The Jersey Girl trip, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, well, board member comments. Michael?
I've got my questions out there already.
All right.
Thank you to staff as usual.
Yeah, thank you. And just a side note, Fisherman's Key, I believe, is that the marina out by Refuge Cove, was pretty happy to see the city raise their harbor rates. So now he can do the same.
That's a whole silver lining. there.
Silver
lining,
Yeah. No, thank you.
Greg?
Nate?
Appreciate you taking the time to be on the board, and thank you, everybody. Good to see you again.
Welcome. And thank you. Thank you, May.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome to the board.
Thanks, guys. Real.
Yep, welcome aboard. Thank all you guys for your help on this. And with that, we need a motion to adjourn.
Let's adjourn.
We're out.
Forget May 7th, guys.
May 7th.
Week early.
We'll get the email.
Yeah.
What's that?
I was all worried that I hadn't had the minutes.
Turning these off.
Oh,